There's nothing like word of mouth marketing. There's nothing like a lawyer hearing from another lawyer why something's so great.
Hey everybody, CJ Bachman in the den again. I appreciate you tuning in. Today I am joined by Nefra-Ann McDonald. She is the Senior Manager of Strategic Engagement at Clio. Welcome to the den, Nefra.
Thanks for having me, CJ. How are you?
Absolutely, I am doing great. So for all of our audience members who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit more about you, yourself, and what you do for Clio?
Yeah, sure. So I am the Senior Manager of Strategic Engagement at Clio, and it's a mouthful of a title, but it's also a pretty vast portfolio. Essentially, my team is responsible for thought leadership and engagement in the legal industry as it relates to Clio. So within our portfolio is our virtual events program, which is CLE webinars, virtual meetups, our in-person events, which is anything, you'll see my little furry guy back there, anything that we sponsor out in the wild, in the real life version of interaction. Do we remember what that's like?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know, right?
so we sponsor about 80 events a year. So it's a pretty big undertaking for my colleague there. And then we also have our bar association relationships. So there are bar associations and law societies all across North America with attorney members, and we work with them to educate them about Clio, share really great content for legal professionals, and we also offer member benefits with them as well. And then the last piece, which we're going to be talking a lot about today, is the Clio Cloud Conference. So my team drives registration, revenue, and attendee experience for that conference. And I've been with Clio for about 4 years. It'll be 4 years in January, but I've been in legal tech for quite some time, at least 6 or 7 years.
Okay, awesome. Well, first, let me say our audience is used to dogs. Mine is sitting in my office right now. And today in our office, we have three. So don't worry about your fur baby at all. But since we are talking about the Clio Cloud Conference, it's coming up on next month on the 10th and the 11th. Can you tell us a little bit about the event, the speakers, and a little bit more about some of the programs you have going on during that particular conference?
Yeah, gosh, I can't believe the countdown is less than 2 weeks. So it's our 10th annual cloud conference. It's our first ever hybrid format. And we were talking about that in-person world, right? We're so excited to get back together in person. We've run the last two ClioCons virtually, and they've been amazing, but we're really looking forward to getting back in person while still also offering the accessibility of a virtual conference as well. And ClioCon has become one of the most highly anticipated events on the legal tech calendar. People from all across the country, all practice areas, firms of all sizes, legal professionals of all kinds attend ClioCon. And we have diverse programming for diverse attendees because, again, our attendees are so diverse and we want to make sure that there's something for everyone. So in our Nashville conference, attendees have access to almost 8 tracks, and they can choose their own adventure. So we've got things like transformation and action, law firm marketing, business management, client-centered experiences, hands-on workshops with tangible takeaways. Plus, we've got quick 15-minute sessions on the Clio stage, which is happening in our exhibit hall area, where attendees can learn how to use and best practices really for using the Clio software.
That's great. It sounds like it's going to be a good event and people are ready to get back out there. We just came back. We were at last week. We were in Austin at the JW Marriott for a Next Star Super Meeting. It's a big conference. And, this was the biggest turnout that they've had in years. And it's partly because everybody is so excited to get back out and in person and be around people. They did a lot of marketing. So talking about marketing a little bit with an event like Clio Cloud, the conference is so important that I know you have to put a lot of time, effort, and energy into marketing it. And especially since your last few have been virtual, getting people to want to come back out. What are some of the things or tactics that you've used in marketing this year's event?
Well, I think the first thing is picking a really great city that has a lot to offer. And Nashville is a bucket list destination for so many people. And we really played up our branding with that sort of music city theme. So I don't know if you know a lot about like Nashville and like the hatch prints that are there for the musicians. So a lot of our branding this year, you'll notice, plays on some of that hatch print kind of feel. The colors that we chose as well, they're so different from our normal Clio blue. This is the part of our Clio brand that we get to play with and have a little bit more fun with. So really colorful, beautiful. The shapes, I think, really play to that hatch print. But also just getting people excited to gather again and to understand the difference that they're going to feel in being in the same room with others. And the great thing about ClioCon, at least from a marketer's perspective, is that a lot of the marketing gets done for us with prior attendees. So one thing we leaned on heavily this year is calling on those people who had been to an in-person ClioCon to essentially sell it for us. There's nothing like word of mouth marketing. There's nothing like a lawyer hearing from another lawyer why something's so great. They love
all the benefits about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. The takeaway.
They trust each other. So that was a really big tactic for us. We have testimonials all over our website. We use them a lot in our emails. And a lot of our speakers are also other lawyers and industry folks as well. So we've leaned on them to promote their speaking engagements at ClioCon. And a lot of them have been selling passes to friends who want to come see them speak, but also trust them enough to say, you know what, I'll take a couple of days away from the office and bring my team and hopefully learn something new and come away inspired.
Yeah, so everybody thinks about marketing and they think about it just from a traditional standpoint, right? Like putting an ad out there or having a billboard.
Stuff. Yeah.
And the good thing about what you said, and a lot of businesses don't actually think about it, but the first thing that you said was you guys looked and say, okay, what is the location, right? What is the draw? Like, how can we get people excited to want to walk away from the office and attend? And Nashville is a perfect city. But then you also had said, going along with the theme, it makes it fun. It becomes more than just a work conference. At the conference we just were, it was like a Western team-based kind of theme. And it makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable. It gives people something to do and talk about aside from their everyday. So those are perfect marketing tips that I think businesses should think about. It's not just putting up an ad. It's thinking about, where is this going to be and what is it going to look like and how can we get people excited?
Yeah, you want to bring them into the experience before they actually have it. Like what's going to give somebody that extra nudge to buy? And it's like, okay, if I'm going to take time away, what's the experience that I'm about to invest in and give myself? And truly conferences are an investment, right? Yeah. Like they're time, hopefully, that you're engaging with others, that you're making new connections, you're networking, but you're also learning. And hopefully you're getting takeaways to come back to your office and feel really energized to pour what you've learned back into your business. So that's essentially what we're trying to drive with the Clio Cloud Conference. We want to make sure that every minute attendees spend with us is just wow, awe, wonder, delight, learning. Just so much to gain from that time. And I don't ever want people to feel like it was a waste. And for the reason we have a 10-year long conference and an enduring conference is because we've delivered on that promise year over year.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I've never heard a negative thing. And, to your point, the fact that they walk away with those takeaways, those things to be excited about, that creates lifelong attendees, right? Because if you're giving them something that's actually making an impact or helping them with, their firm, it makes them want to come back. So you guys are doing a great job there. And I'm really excited to see what happens this year. Let's kind of take a little bit of a sidetrack here. Being a female manager in the business world, it comes with its own unique set of triumphs and challenges, right? I can speak firsthand about some of them. What hurdles have you encountered and overcome as a woman in the corporate business world?
Yeah, I think what's really tough is having your ideas and your intelligence discounted and almost underestimated. Sometimes it's a really great position to operate from because you can really surprise people. But a lot of times it can hinder your growth when you're not at the right company or being managed by the right people who can give you the visibility that you need and give you the credit for your ideas that you deserve and all of that. And I realized probably a little not too late, it's never too late, but later in my career than I wish I did, that it's okay to walk away from positions where you're not valued. And there are places out there who will pour into you, who will invest in you, who will educate you and will lift you up and give you that visibility that allows you to grow in your career. And I tell my direct reports this all the time. It's, it's about the documentation of what you do. It's the visibility. And it's also about giving yourself this space to be creative and strategic and drawing some attention to that. We all have really good ideas. And if anybody walks into a room thinking they're the smartest person in the room, they're often not,
You're in the wrong room.
Right. Yeah. But it's also important to speak up. And I think that was my biggest lesson in coming up in the legal tech world. I often quieted my own voice to not rock the boat, to make sure that the men in the room were heard and seen, and because that was important to them. And I, there's some ego stroking that you kind of need to do,
right?
But not at the expense of your own voice and your own ideas. And you also have to be willing to share those ideas and get them shot down and not give up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you said that I see a lot of times is women will make an attempt to speak up, to be heard. But then once they get shot down a few times, they just quiet back up. They just take that back seat and they're like, okay, I'm, better seen than heard, and, kind of fall into those motions. But there is a room for them. There is a room. And if you're not in a room that you're being heard and you're not being listened to, then move, change it, right? There's positions out there, there are teams out there, there are directors out there that will listen. And I think it's super important because we all do have great ideas.
Yeah.
Some of them will work and some of them won't work, but it is difficult to not be heard. So I'm glad that you persevered.
Yeah. What's really great about having that kind of experience is that it builds resilience. And that is something that cannot be, I don't know how to assign a value to resilience when it comes to your career in business, because your ability to bounce back is what will take you to that next level. Absolutely. If you're not willing to take a risk, then you're not also willing to reap massive rewards, and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to learn from failure. Failure has been my greatest teacher in my career. And I always encourage my direct reports to try something new, even if they're not sure, if it's something we've never done, if, and if we can give them the room to do that. Like, I want to be able to give my direct reports a chance to fail big so that they learn from it. And that, because what if it does work? What if
exactly? I always say, it's better to try and fail than it is to not try at all. You're going to be stuck. And if you don't ask the question, the answer is always going to be no. No one said it was going to be easy. They just said it would be worth it. Right. And it totally is. And speaking of worth it, for those who are interested in going to Clio Cloud Conference that haven't purchased their tickets yet, tell them a little bit about where they need to go. How can they purchase them? Is there an offer that you can put out there for our audience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can head over to cliocloudconference.com. And right now, listeners and viewers of this podcast can put in the code 1SEO and you can get 30% off of your tickets. So if you heard something today that made you want to join us, head over to the website, claim your ticket. Love to see you in person.
Well, speaking of things that they heard today, we like to do something called the final roar on the Den. And that's basically just gives you an opportunity to leave the audience with something that you feel is super impactful. Clio Cloud Conference is a not miss event for law firms. Tell them why, like any last words, any little bit of encouragement to get them to hop on that plane and head over to Nashville and enjoy Music City.
Yeah, one of our past attendees actually attended a Clio town hall on Friday, just to give the staff some time to get excited about the conference, especially since our team has doubled in size since our last in-person conference. So a lot of people haven't had that experience. And one of the things that he said was, if you're a lawyer who wants to be successful in the law and want to grow your business and want to have an impact in legal, you can't afford not to go. It's a place where you will come away a different person. And it's not just about the speakers and the keynotes and, the amazing Cleons that you get to meet and learn from, but it's the organic conversations and ideas that can come up when you're with a group of like-minded people who want to make a change, want to make an impact, want to grow their businesses and want to leave a legacy. So if that's you in any shape, form, or fashion, this is the place you need to be.
Well, thank you so much, Nefra, for joining us. I know that Jolynn, our CFO, is going to be at ClioCon representing One SEO, along with a couple of other team members. We have several clients that are going to be attending as well. So we are definitely backing you guys. And I am so glad you were able to be here on the Den. Hopefully, everyone was able to walk away from this podcast with a little bit of something. Not everyone knows about the conference, so we want to spread that good word. And we also want to help you understand the importance of marketing when it comes to not just your business, but events like this. So thank you so much, Nefra. I appreciate it. And we will see you next time in the Den.
Thanks, CJ.